week. And it's
Niggas are
like,
trash.
we can't act like, and it's not even say that they are trash, but at the end of the day, we can't ignore that women, especially black women, go through shit. Because like I said, I've had moments where women have sexually assaulted me. And if I was to say the shit that's happened to me, I know it's shit that's happened to me 3 times, 4 times in my entire almost 30 years of life, happen to women almost every single time they go out. Like, Whitney, I'm pretty sure majority of the time since you've been out in certain summers, niggas have tried to attempt to touch your ass, or you
Oh, ain't
like
no attempt.
did somebody
This is
touch
the
my
thing.
ass?
This is the thing. That's why I say niggas are trash, and I'm speaking in general because I know not every guy is like that. But niggas just don't fucking think, or they think but they don't give a fuck. Like either or, you know what I'm saying? Like they do shit for attention. They make it about them. They're not being considerate, of others, and it's very frustrating. And that's when women, wind up feeling unsafe around a lot of these dudes. And the fucked up part is like the people that they trust, they can't even. I mean, it's like they trust in them, but they get in the situations with the people that they trust, that they're supposed to be their quote unquote friend. They make them feel uncomfortable by saying certain things when they get intoxicated. Like that shit is trash.
Yeah,
so I feel like as men and as males, like even the people that know that it's trash, men that know that it's trash, they need to do their part by letting them niggas that they know is trash, letting their ass know. And a lot of them are close to them niggas. So for it to be 4 people on her live, 4 men on her live, I'm sorry, and the rest are all women, that shit is fucking trash.
It was. And you know what adds to that? I think of like a serial killer, for example, or a gangbanger. Like, it's not like you go 0 to 100. You get what I'm saying? It's always steps to that shit. And I think that the biggest culprit in this shit, like Martin Luther King said about white people, it's not like the KKK member that's the worst. It's really that person that's stagnant and doesn't say anything. I forgot the actual statement. But it's the same thing with our niggas. Yeah, the bystanders. It's the same thing with our niggas. Like, if you see something happen, you have to speak up. It shouldn't cause a beef with your nigga. If you say, hey, bro, I've literally had to have a conversation with somebody. A friend told me that a homeboy made her feel uncomfortable. He didn't touch her. He didn't technically even say anything exorbitantly sexual to her. It's just that she wasn't on his tip and she felt uncomfortable. And I just simply stated to him, hey, bro, blanks felt uncomfortable the last time that y'all was around, so you need to watch the things and the ways that you interact, especially when you have liquor. And I say that about her, but at the same time, you should watch that with everybody else, knowing that somebody had a problem with that. And he said, you're right, okay. End of story. It was literally, that was the conversation. And I think that a lot of things wouldn't happen rather sexually, as far as assault and creepiness and whatever you want to call that shit, if niggas actually had the balls to have a conversation with their mans. And I definitely, after seeing all that shit on Twitter, would not want my child to join a fraternity. That was some of the worst stories I read was about fraternities. I thought that was the wildest shit. Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest, fraternities should find a way, like how black people look at white people. Like, y'all gotta prove to us that y'all got our back. Y'all niggas gotta prove to us that y'all ain't a fucking group of rapists, because all them stories, majority of those stories was always about a frat nigga, and they always had a nigga in the background playing the game, or a nigga waiting his turn. Like, I read all of those stories. I'm like that nigga, y'all ever hear Rotten.com? Back in the day, it was this site called Rotten.com. They used to have niggas with their heads blown off, like all types of shit. I'll admit, I'll watch that shit over and over and over. The same thing like with reading something fucked up. I have to finish it. I have to find out everything that happened. So I was reading every story from the regular rape page, the Eastern, Michigan State, especially when I started noticing motherfucking names that I knew. I'm like, wait a minute. So I read all that shit. So I'm like, the point I'm making is, I read all that shit in fucking depth. And I'm like, the reoccurring theme to me was, it was a lot of niggas. It was one nigga on there 20 times. I'm like, why haven't we killed this man yet? I'm not even trying to be funny at this point. Like, I'm dead ass serious. Like, in other countries, a motherfucker raping somebody, one person, he gets stoned or beat to death. This motherfucker has done this shit with 20 different women. Let's just say 5 of them lying. It's 15. Like, you could, like, you know, and they probably wasn't even lying in the first place. Like, we talking 20 different women. So it's like, when I feel like rapists wouldn't do that shit, because they got friends. If they man stepped up to the plate, when you see level one, you got to step in and stop that shit. And you can't just ignore that shit. Like one girl had a story where the dude was in the room. He was like, that ain't none of my business. What the fuck do you mean, bro?
I think that the general public has to prioritize black women's comfortability at the end of the day.
They do. They do.
Because no matter if you're a nice guy, no matter if you are not one of those guys, no matter who you think that you are, if you are not prioritizing women's comfortability, you don't give a fuck at the end of the day.
For me, it's like, because me going to Michigan State,
Yeah, there's a lot of them on
that
there.
whole culture is just normalized, the aggression, like, and even like post grad, like I'm 27. When I go out now, and I know a lot of people that's in fraternities, it's like first words is "let me eat it," you know, or "let me get a sample," or
That sound like a dog.
like
Yeah, literally,
like it's so aggressive just by nature. So when
I
I
was
think
talking
about
the other
like
dog.
the
no,
first,
I know.
Oh.
That's yeah.
I heard, like, I was talking to one of my homeboys, and we was talking about this, and he was like, yeah, you've been on Twitter? I'm like, yeah, I've been on Twitter. And his first comment was, bitches be lying. I'm like, are you
Them bitches
insane?
lying?
Well, that was the thing. I'm like, so this is why, like, when you think about why people don't speak up, I'm not lost on the fact that, like, people lie. And that people can be vengeful and, like, want revenge and, like, may make up a story or exaggerate something. Like, I'm not lost on that. But at the same time, like, we gotta. Why you wanna choose this moment to talk about the minority or something?
Exactly.
Like the majority, this shit is like really happening. And then when you look at your friends, and I've been to all the college parties, and like I've seen how people come at me, or how girls, like, maybe they're not speaking up, or like maybe it happens so quick at this point they just feel like they're just gonna take it. I know a lot of people who feel like, okay, I'm at this point, let me just shut up. Like, we already doing it, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm just not gonna make a scene.
Right.
But like they really don't want to do it. So it's like a double-edged sword, and I'm trying to be real cautious with my words. But at some point, I feel like,
No, let that shit out.
like, even like me being younger in situations that I was in personally, that I feel like, well, I'm not telling somebody, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But as an adult, I feel like some stuff got so normalized. Like, okay, we just gonna let it slide because it's not that big of a deal. And so now we at the point where we want to label it, we want to call it assault. And people is fucking butthurt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what it is. Like,
Right.
if something is abusing
We
me,
I don't even think
like,
it's that
that's
the
what
fact
we
that they're
can-
calling it assault. I think it's the fact that they're saying that it's wrong. Because you've told yourself that something that you saw or something that you did or thought about doing was okay, and now somebody's saying no, it's wrong. You don't want to do the work in yourself. And so instead of figuring out how to deal with this as a community, we take it personally and we just say, oh, that's not a problem. Because I've done it, or I've thought about doing it, or my homeboy does it.
I think it's overall a level of accountability that
It
people
is.
have to understand and accept. Because even myself, I had to check myself that, you know, I might think of myself as, you know, I'm a good dude, I'm a solid person. But if I have to question, could I have done more, then I feel like I'm not doing enough.
Right.
So throughout my career at, you know, spinning and stuff, I've always spun for women and trying to make sure the women first and foremost have a good time. So any event or venue, brands, whatever the case is, anything I've attached my name to, I've always tried to make sure it was a safe space for women, that they felt comfortable, that they could come in and not have to worry about, am I going to be in this place? Is it going to be grabbing on me? Am I going to have to be cautious? I mean, always be cautious about setting your drink down, but is this a space to where I have to be extra more alert about setting things down? I've always tried to make sure that they felt comfortable and appreciated even. And unfortunately, a lot of these people don't take that into account. They see a dollar sign. They just see, we just here to have fun. We're thinking of ourselves and not understanding that there is a social
facts.
responsibility that
Yep.
we have when you putting people in certain places, that you have to protect them. Not just from a physical, but there's a mental aspect to that too. If I feel
Exactly.
like there's people in here who are harassing me, or I think that this person who I've dealt with in the past could potentially be here, and that may make me relive something that I tried to suppress, that's another social responsibility we have to have. And ultimately, like I said, as soon as I got hip to everything like that happened, I immediately was just like, yo, like I read through everything and I was like, oh no, this ain't it. Like, so I was like, all right, me naturally, I'm gonna make sure that I do more. But then I also started hitting some of my female friends and just was like, hey, what more would you like to see done? Like, what
like
more
that.
can we do?
Yeah.
Like, you know, is it okay? And then one of the number one things they said was, start calling out some of the people that y'all are close to, like that y'all hang out with. And I feel like for me, yeah, there's been situations where I was like, hey man, chill, like, you know, relax, like you're doing too much. But I feel like for them, going that extra step is what makes them comfortable. Just telling them to chill isn't enough. Like sometimes it's got to be like calling them out and like literally breaking it down and explaining to them like, look, this isn't right. Like the whole women like aggression thing is in a certain space. That's not in a public way to be grabbing on people at a party and it's like, hey, come here, let me talk to you. Like that ain't it.
Yeah, I and just to end it with this, because we don't get on to some light shit. I know it got kind of dark, but
it was needed.
Yeah,
Very
it was needed, definitely needed. I'll say like I'm not a hothead or anything, but I'll say 90% of my altercations when I'm out are over women. Not like who or like, you know, who dick is bigger type shit, but I've always seen niggas do wild shit to women, and Whitney can attest to this because she's been out with me quite a few times. I've normally, when we go out and we have a good time, unless I'm ordering a drink, I'm probably looking like a bodyguard because I'm literally looking around because I always feel like something's gonna happen. Like I mean, I'm just a paranoid type of person, and I think that's how I catch wild shit happening every single time. And I feel like if niggas. Every single time I've had an altercation with niggas, like the niggas at Deluxe that tried to pull my homegirl wig off, they looked at me and they was like, I'm so sorry. We didn't know it was a wig. Like that, like niggas don't realize the shit that they say.
I would have did it
if it wasn't a wig.
But
like,
it
was like, that's how you was going to grab her attention, my nigga. Yeah. And then I remember we was at Deluxe for another friend's birthday. Oh, it's crazy. It's always at Deluxe. And a dude like jumped at a chick like he was going to hit her. And only reason that my fist wasn't broken and his jaw wasn't broken is because it was in the winter. So when I swung, it was water on the ground. I literally slipped. And I hit his neck. That was the only shit. Like, and it was just like, it was weird because they was like, well, he's gay. And I'm like, his sexual orientation ain't got shit to do with this. If he like it in the ass, that's his prerogative. But he not about to sit here and hit a black queen. Like, that ain't got shit to do with it. It was wild that the point I'm making is that was other people's responses to his actions.
Because he's like, more feminine.
To be honest with you, I never seen a gay dude get his ass beat. So if you want to be real, gay men can fight. So I don't know what the fuck that was supposed to mean, but I feel like it's even, and that was from a woman. A woman said that, like, he's gay. It's okay. Like, no, it's not. Yeah. Like, I feel like we all have to do a better job of, what's the word I'm looking for? We all have to do a better job of chaperoning situations. Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes, and I hope I don't seem like I'm caping for niggas that do fucked up shit, but I feel like sometimes that level one that we spoke about can be done from a nigga who actually made a mistake. Yeah. Level one could be a mistake, but when level one happens as a mistake, it becomes level two if nobody checks it. If that nigga doesn't understand that he fucked up, that is something that made somebody uncomfortable. Because I've talked to women and certain shit that some women like to play with I say no because I want them to try harder. Not I say no because I don't like it. And that's the most wildest shit I've ever fucking heard. Man. Because if you say me no, my dick is shriveling up. Yeah. That's me personally.
Yeah, no, it's over with.
So
it's just, we done.
I that's another reason why communication is needed. Yeah. Because a nigga might have been fucking with girl A and she be saying no, but she wants you to try harder, and you think girl B the same way, but no, nigga, she don't want your dick. True. And that's why communication is needed in these situations. And I do feel like men and women, because one of the people who sexually assaulted me genuinely apologized to me, and I forgave her. That's why I will, at this point, never go in depth about the situation. Because I forgave her. I even had her on the show. I genuinely, I was very upset. Like, I was pissed the fuck off. Ask JG, I never let and I don't let shit go. I was irate.
You don't.
At all.
And I wanted my girl to beat her ass. And that was a lot of ass to beat. Yeah. But the point that
okay.
All right.
But the point I'm making is, and I'm not saying that women should just forgive niggas for the shit that they do. Like, because it's up to you on if you forgive somebody. But if we don't stop a nigga from level one, which could genuinely be a misunderstanding or him reading the situation wrong or him just being a fucked up person and he gonna get to the next level. If we don't stop that shit, it's going to get further and further and further. So we have to start from the beginning, and we all have to come together because we know women are doing it. They're already going to the bathrooms in a pack. They're already not putting their drinks down. They're already paranoid of niggas. So I'm only calling on men because I feel like women have already started that level 1 detail to stop that. I'm calling on men to actually come in and stop that shit. I'm calling on men to actually protect not only they women, but they niggas, because at the end of the day, you are a reflection of the people that you hang around. So if you hang around a whole bunch of creepy ass niggas, bro, you're a creepy ass nigga at the end of the day. So you got to check that shit. And you don't have to check that shit where you swinging on your nigga unless it get to that point. But you should be able to have a conversation, uncomfortable.
It's worth swinging over.
Yeah, no, it is. But as uncomfortable as any conversation can get, I think that the most uncomfortable space to be in is to have an uncomfortable conversation with somebody that you're comfortable with. Yeah. So that's where we need to come in as men, and we got to check that shit because at the end of the day, the most disrespected human being in the country, in the world, is the black woman. So we got to protect them, and we got to, step up. And now that we got over that dark shit, I'm going to move on to talking about being, being hoes and shit. So, Whitney, you had 2 boyfriends at one time. How did that go?
I never had 2 boyfriends.
But y'all liked how I smoothed that out. Like it was.
I never.
Whitney was like, hey, no, whoa. You never had a side nigga.
No, I'm a faithful woman.
Chevy, you went to state, so we know.
What?
Is that the culture?
Yes.
No,
At
I
state?
don't want to say that's the culture. I have.
I'll take my hat off and show my fucked up sideburns.
I definitely have cheated before.
We didn't even say that.
Okay.
We just said
I wouldn't call it a whole side situation. I would just say like that was a moment in time.